Oh, I'm ready. I'm more than ready. All right, we should be live. We're live. We're live everywhere. We are live from Orlando, Florida. It's Derek Simons with the Cardone Group, and we are 10Xing your Automotive Fridays. That's right. It's all about how to get out of average and make sure that we're hitting that successful formula, right? The 10X rule. That's what we need to be doing. You know, we were talking about it earlier today, and we were trying to decide what we were going to discuss, and a lot of topics came up. One of the things that we keep talking about a lot is that bad habits are formed in good times. And, you know, it's kind of funny when you think about that, but right now we are probably near the peak in our automotive sales cycle, right? Some people say we're already off. Some people say we're still got a little ways to go up, but I've been watching the numbers this year. And the reality is that we're not trending quite as high as we were last year. So that means that we're probably reaching about that peak, right? Now, here's something I want you to think about. And this is kind of scary when I say it this way, but I want you to think about this. If you're not setting records right now for sales or profitability, you're probably missing out on something. It's probably an area of opportunity, right? And when we look at this, there's a couple of things that come up every single time we talk about it. And that's that bad habits being made in good times, right? A lot of dealerships are running more lean than they ever have. A lot of dealerships are running with less staff than they've ever ran with before on a consistent basis, right? And what are we trying to do? We're trying to be successful. We're trying to grow our business. We're trying to achieve that next level of success because we don't want to be average, right? We want to be that successful group. So how do we get there, right? What do we need to do? How do we step back and look at it and say, okay, what are my bad habits that I've got right now? And what do I need to do to take it to the next level? Well, we're going to talk about a couple of those today. We're going to take a look at them and we're going to talk about what we can do to help you. And again, I really want to emphasize this. Man, I've got so much stuff here to show you guys today. And at the end of the day, none of this stuff really matters except for one thing, what you get out of the show. So this here is all of our content. Each one of these is a different course, curriculum, learning experience, approach to working with a dealership. And it doesn't matter what it is. If it's finance, if it is service, if it is BDC, if it's phones, if it's internet, if it's anything in the sales process, man, we got you covered. This is I say a fraction. This is a good fraction. This is point of contact, information-based selling, daily disciplines, right? This is all the different things that we're teaching in dealerships right now. Why? Because we know what the opportunities are, right? This is the management daily disciplines, right? This is our leading practices library. This thing is chock full of resources about helping your dealership achieve a next level of success. So why am I saying that? Because here's what happens. Average dealership, get an average amount of traffic. People are coming in, they're showing up. Guess what happens? We get complacent based upon the amount of people that are coming in, right? We're not doing that next level of stuff that we need to do to get to that additional growth area, right? Again, I said it earlier. If you're not setting records right now in volume and profitability, you're missing out, okay? I'm not telling you that the world's going to change. I'm not telling you that 2008 is coming. I'm not telling you that anything bad's going to happen because all economies are local. Grant said this 1,000 times, and I believe it. It's up to you to create your own economy. It's up to you to create your own reality with what you want to achieve. So what do you have to do? You have to pay attention to what's happening around you, right? Don't get dragged down by the attitude of those other people that are working with you. Don't get dragged down by talking to your buddy and him telling you that he had a bad month last month. You have to be the one to create your own reality. You have to be the one to create your own opportunities. So what are some bad habits that we are creating during these good times, right? One of them, and this is the one that drives me absolute bonkers if you're a salesperson, is relying on the showroom traffic. It's kind of a weird deal. I'll go into a dealership and I'll talk to salespeople and I'll say, hey man, tell me what the traffic's like. You know what they'll tell me? Oh, it's not that good. It's not that good, right? We don't get as many ups as we used to get. And I say, okay, what are you doing about that? Well, what do you mean? Right? Ultimately, if you're sitting at the dealership waiting on the up bus to show up, man, you're probably missing out. You're probably never going to achieve that level of growth that comes from being proactive on your own. So what can we do as individual salespeople to own the automotive market space with anybody that we know, right? How do we do that, right? What are you guys doing as far as your social media, right? We talk about social media strategy a ton with dealerships. That's a key component for their advertising dollars nowadays. Dealers are running ads on Facebook and Instagram. They're on Twitter. They're on, any of the different social platforms, and they're using those to generate leads. But what are you doing as a salesperson, right? What's your reputation like? I know that we work with dealerships to make sure that the reputation is good enough, right? It's a 4.5 out of 5, right? And that we've got plenty of reviews because people trust those. What are you doing to get individual reviews from customers for yourself? These are all things that we need to take into consideration, because if we are waiting at the dealership for that next load of customers to come in, we're missing out. So the first thing that I really believe that you need to do is you need to own the automotive space of all the people you know. And that's going to start with talking with your friends and family. That's going to start with making sure that you are promoting on social media what you're doing. That doesn't mean that you're always throwing a car out there and going, hey, I got this car in today. Well, you can do that. But remember, social media is social, right? You need to be communicating. You need to be making posts. You need to be sharing ideas and content that people are going to find relevant and that you need to do. Now, here's a technique that Grant taught me probably, 4 or 5 years ago. And I still think it's one of the best things that a salesperson can do. Any single person that you have interaction with from a business relationship standpoint, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be good service at a restaurant. It could be a really great pizza that got delivered. It could be, a sprinkler repair guy. It could be an electrician. It could be a cab service. It doesn't matter. If they're local in your market, you can go onto your own social media and you can go and you can give them a good reference. And when you do that, you're engaging that group of people, whoever is around that, and you're talking about the good experience that you've got. And one of the things that I recommend all the time is that you need to have what you do in your handle for your social media, right? So your name and your description is going to talk about where you are and how to get in contact with you. And when you do that, people will automatically click through and look to see if you're a real person. And what are they seeing? They're saying, hey, here's Derek, and he works at Cardone Motors, and he gave these guys a great recommendation. Okay. And it gets people engaged with you. And the one thing that people can't get enough of is good publicity, right? It's hard. There's not enough good publicity. And so you need to be creating your publicity that you're pushing out, that you are helping get in front of other people so that they start looking back at you. And that's what we want to do. It's a reciprocal street there. So be positive, be proactive, be out there engaging on social media, talk about what's happening, right? Make sure that you're sharing all the things that are special and that make you and your dealership unique, and that you're driving that. So that's the first thing that we need to do, right? The second thing that we need to do is we need to really get committed to making our outbound phone calls. When I go into a dealership and we're working with teams, right, with the management team and the sales teams, and we're talking with our guys that are out there in the field, the one thing that we see on a continual basis, and this is pretty simple, is that the dealerships that make the most outbound phone calls, guess what? They equal the dealerships that sell the most cars. And I was speaking to the Southeast region for Nissan a couple months back, and they had a question and answer period at the end. And they said, hey, what are you looking for in a salesperson? And I said, I used to want to hire people that had a fire in their belly, right? They had that desire. They had to be successful. That's what I wanted to hire. I still want to hire that person. But more than that, I want to hire somebody that's willing to pick up the phone and make outbound phone calls. That's what we need today to be successful. Look, it's just a reality. The business has changed. We can't sit at the desk, right, or stand out front and smoke a cigarette and wait for people to show up to shop, because it's not happening. It's not. We know it. The statistics are very clear. 1.2 to 1.6 dealerships are physically shopped by a customer. They spent 9 hours shopping online. They're only going to 1 or 2 in person. So you have to create opportunities for yourself. How are you going to do that? Where are these opportunities going to come from? There's a couple of different things that we recommend you do in regards to outbound calls, right? One thing that we really believe is that your service drive is a single greatest source of opportunities that you'll ever have. Average service department sees 10 to 20 times as many customers in a day as the dealership sales department does. And if you think about that for a second, those are people that have a relationship with your dealership already. They're already predisposed to spend money with you. They're already willing to invest in your dealership in regards to helping them with their automotive needs. So those people that are in the dealership, in the service department, you need to be talking to them. As a salesperson, I think that that's the single best opportunity that I could come across. I would want to be able to call as many of the customers that were in the service drive the day before as I possibly could. Now, when we work with management teams, that's one of the daily disciplines that we put into place. We look at it from the standpoint of how can we engage the most people that have a relationship with the dealership on a continual basis. And I'm telling you, the service drive, #1 place, right? We have dealerships that have salespeople down in the customer waiting lounge on a daily basis that are doing up and shows, right? They're telling the customers, hey, Mr. Customer, we have a deal for our service customers where we can show you how to move up to the next vehicle of your choice and keep your payments the same. We can show you how to do that, right? As Grant says, anything can be accomplished with as much money down as needed, right? So we can show them how to move up to a newer vehicle of their choice and keep their payment the same. We can help them find that vehicle. And you know what we need? And every single dealership needs this right now. They need used cars. They need quality used cars. They need used cars that are going to be able to be put on the front line and they're going to be able to sell. And you know what? You know what it helps to sell a used car? A good story. So when we have vehicles that we are taking in on trade or buying out of our service drive, those are great opportunities for us to sell those on our dealerships, on our lot, right? So we have two things that we can accomplish when we're talking to people in the service drive. We can show them how to move up to a newer vehicle of their choice, keep their payment the same, or we can offer to purchase their vehicle from them. You know, the reality is that's a great opportunity to engage a customer, right? And again, I talk to dealerships all day long that have 50 to 100 people through their service drives each day, right? And you talk to average dealership and they're getting 5 to 10 people out front on a daily basis. Let's maximize our ability to communicate with our customers. So that's the #1 place that I'd start. I'd start with calling the customers that were in yesterday to the service department and had service done. You know, we talk about equity mining a lot, right? Equity mining is a buzzword. It's a catchphrase in our industry. There's a lot of software out there that are selling to dealerships that tell them, hey, look, we're going to help you with this equity mining. Equity mining is great, but I'm going to tell you this. Don't get too caught up on the levels that these equity mining platforms tell you about, because here's why. They're looking for people that can fit into a specific pattern, right? They're not looking at people that might be $8,000 upside down. But if that customer just had a service bill and he's $8,000 upside down, there's a good chance that he might want out of that car. We don't know if we don't contact them because they didn't fit a parameter on the equity mining. We believe you should call every single person that goes through your service drive. It is not going to hurt you to create a relationship with those people, to offer to purchase their vehicle, to see if they're interested in an up and show opportunity, right? It's a great opportunity. You need to be in communication with them. Don't hesitate. Second thing that we need to do is, or we can do as a salesperson, is to look at campaigns, right? How do we create a campaign? When you talk to your used car manager and he tells you, hey, look, you know, the reality is we need 4-wheel drive trucks. We need Toyota Camrys. We need whatever they need. Your CRM will allow you to go through and search, and you'll be able to build a campaign. All the people that own Toyota Camrys or 4-wheel drive trucks or Watson mobiles, and you can make outbound calls based on that. Now, what's the magic number of outbound calls? Don't know. Can't tell you. But I can tell you that anything less than 25 outbound phone calls in a day is not going to generate the results that you want. The most successful salespeople we see are the ones that are doing 35 or more outbound phone calls a day. That's what we're after. We want to see those outbound calls being made on a consistent basis. And the two best ways to approach it, calling service ROs, calling customers that we're trying to conquest that particular vehicle because we have a need for them. Those are simple, they're easy, and you can do them on a consistent basis. Now, I've been looking at a lot of the numbers in regards to these calls, and I can tell you that you're going to make 10 calls, you're probably going to get 1 or 2 appointments. But if you get 2 appointments, one person will show up and you'll sell a car. It's the way that it works. It's a numbers game, and it's rejection based. Some of the best people I've ever worked with on the phone are wired differently than we are, right? And it's because they don't mind hearing no, because you're going to hear no a lot, right? We talk about this. It's okay. When a customer tells you no, that they're not interested, as long as it's a pleasant and a professional call, you haven't done anything to hurt your reputation with them. And in fact, if you've positioned yourself properly and you've created an opportunity to follow up, you might have earned a place in their automotive needs catalog, right? So when you're making these calls, remember, you're a professional. You're offering this as a courtesy. This is a value to you and to the customer. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to go forward with passion, okay? So make those outbound calls. Get you 2 or 3 appointments for every 10 calls that you make. Get you 1 or 2 people to show up and get you a sale, okay? And if we're doing 30 to 50 of those a day, we're going to get the right amount of results. And that's the thing that's hard, right? Is that there's days that you're going to make 30 calls and you're not going to schedule an appointment. There's other days you're going to make 30 calls and you're going to schedule 6 or 7 appointments. Okay. It's all going to be based upon what's happening in the flow. Just know it all averages out, but you have to make the calls or it doesn't work. I cannot tell you how many times we've gone into a dealership and we've launched this on a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, and we started making these calls and we've scheduled 20 appointments over the next 3 days. And guess what happens? We sell a whole bunch of cars, but then we leave and we've left the scripts and we've left the manifest and we've set it up in the CRM and we leave, and then the salespeople and the managers don't make the calls, or they make some calls and they don't get appointments. And then they're like, oh, yeah, this isn't working anymore. And they stop. That's not what we need to do. We have to be consistent, because unfortunately, average is a failing formula, right? And average right now, the bad habit that we make is waiting on the traffic to come in. It's waiting on the internet lead. It's waiting on the phone to ring. That's not how we're going to be successful. That's not how we're going to future-proof our economy, right? If I was concerned about what the next level is going to happen in regards to the automotive industry, I would not let somebody else set my pace. It's all about me. It's about me making those outbound phone calls. It's about me smiling and dialing. Okay. So those are 2 places that I believe that you can be communicating with people on a consistent basis on the telephone, right? Service ROs and what we call conquest calls, right? People that we're trying to find those vehicles. I already said that about social media. I already said it about making sure that your reputation's right and that you're getting plenty of good reviews, right, from customers. You need those. You want to make sure that you're included in the reviews. When you're talking to a customer and asking for a review for the business, make sure that they put your name in there, right? You want it. You want it to say Derek S. at Cardone Motors was great. That's what you want to have in those reviews, because that's going to help you as it moves forward. Okay, so the third thing that we need to address as far as bad habits is that we need to make sure 100%, and I talked about this last week and I was really emphatic about it, but look, you got to focus on the write-up. That's where we got to drive to. What we know for a fact is that every single customer that we don't write up doesn't buy a car today. Some of them might come back and they might purchase later, but you have to write them up. Man, we have to stay focused. We have to get to the write-up. So every single customer that comes in, that's where you're driving to, right? We're driving towards that write-up because we know that if we outright our competition, we will out-deliver them. It's just that simple. The more customers we get to the write-up, the more likely it is we're going to sell a car. Period. End of story. It's a numbers game. At the end of the month, everybody plays the game. Write everybody up. Nobody gets out of here without a write-up. Make sure you write up everybody, no matter what. Write them up. Well, get committed to it. I talked about this last week. I'm hoping that somebody's got some success stories and they'll throw some in here and we'll see them in the comments. But write up everybody. Okay. What do we got to do to get to 100% write-up? It means you got to do 100% power greeting. You got to offer information at point of contact. You got to do 100% needs assessment. Find out that buyer profile, right? You have to do 100% selection and demonstration. Make sure that you're going all the way through the whole process and you're not shortcutting the process. Make sure that you're doing the right things in the process. Okay. Remember what we've talked about multiple times so far. You know the vehicle. You're comfortable with the vehicle. The customer's done their research, but now's the time for them to physically experience the vehicle, right? That's right. You have got to make that come to life, right? Do that $1 million product presentation. Do that $double demonstration as you're walking around. Take them on that demo drive. Get them 100% excited about it so that you can come back to 100% transition, which is a trial close, and do that 100% write-up, okay? So the 3 things that we're talking about today, right? Bad habits. Let's get on the social media. Let's make sure that we're doing our reputation and our reviews and that we're engaging people on social media. Let's make sure that we're making outbound phone calls. I'm telling you, 35 needs to be your goal as a minimum as a salesperson. The closer you get to 50 and above every single day, the more successful you're going to be. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone into a dealership and said, who's the number 1 salesperson? The guy says, here. I say, who's the number 1 on outbound phone calls? I ask show me the report, right? Who's number 1 on outbound phone calls? Vast majority of the time, the number 1 salesperson's number 1 on outbound calls. There's a reason it's correlated to success. That phone is where your money is. Okay, you have to create your opportunity. Average is a failing formula. Don't be average. Don't settle for doing 5 or 6 phone calls a day. You need to get on the calls, make them happen. Okay, and then we need to make sure that we're committed when we get a customer, get them all the way through to the write-up. Don't shortcut it. Look, they can't say yes until you've presented them with the figures and you lay it down and you say, sign here, get your new car cleaned and ready for immediate delivery. Please, I beg you, make sure you focus on that. So look, bad habits are made in good times. Right now, it's still good times. Sure, there's blips and there's things that go up and down. That's the way the industry works. But right now, still good times, and you need to be capitalizing on that. Okay, it's a cyclical market, man. Right? We are 10 years into a 7-year cycle. That's exciting. It's the longest we've had a peak in a long time. So make sure you're taking advantage of this and that you're selling as many cars as you possibly can. Everything has a season. Wide ties and skinny ties, 3-button suits. I pulled this sport coat out this morning. I put it on. I was like, hey, it's a 3-button sport coat. I haven't worn this in years, but I wore it today because it's a season. Everything happens, right? There's peaks and there's valleys. There's highs and there's lows. And you individually it's up to you to create your own economy. We don't want to settle for less than what we can possibly achieve, but it gets pretty simple when you get committed. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Get committed. It's Derek, and I am with the Cardone Group, and this is Automotive Fridays, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about averages of failing formula. We're talking about the bad habits that are made in good times. Don't wait on the traffic. Get aggressive. Be out there. Be on social media. Make your phone calls, and for gosh sakes, get everybody written up. It's pretty much that simple. Now, before I go, 10xyourprofits.com, CardoneInstitute.com. We've got managers coming to the school next week down here, and they are going to go through that Cardone Institute boot camp, that managers training course. They're going to learn everything that they need to know to be back into your dealerships and to help you be successful. We run those once a quarter. Love to have your managers at the next one. I wasn't kidding when I said it. This is all of this. These are all different courses, every one of them. This is all different courses. It doesn't matter what you need at your dealership. If you need help with service, selling in the service drive, whether it's for your service advisors or selling vehicles in the service drive, we can do it. If you need finance training, we got you. If you need BDC or internet, we got you. Phone power is another huge course that we do. Good Lord, phone power. I was looking at the size of that book. You can look how thick that sucker is. Phone power is humongous, right? We got tons of content, tons of things that we can help with. You need help with your advertising? Well, we got you. Digital, traditional, social, we're there for you. Whatever you need help with, we're ready to go. And we're still running at $9.97, I think. Right, Lindsay? Automotive closes on our website, thecardonegroup.com/shop. You can pick up a copy of Grant Cardone's Automotive Closes. Great resource for you. So I'm Derek, and it's the Cardone Group, and we truly appreciate you being here with us. Automotive Fridays. Look, let's have a great weekend. Average is a failing formula. Don't do it. Step out, be aggressive, make it happen. See you guys next week.